So here's the tinder I was able to gather today. What I like to do is I take a random area of woods or wilderness, or it even could be near civilization in an area, a vacant lot, something, and I go into an area and I search around and see whatever tinder I can come up with. And this is what I was able to find in a quarter-mile square area of woods, not too far from civilization. And what I have here is some dried birch bark. Now this is kind of dried out. It was on an old stump and an old branch. Might not be very effective. It'll have a little bit of use, and it will have to be processed. But I also found a dead piece that's not so old, and it will have a lot of oils in it still. So this will be a good tinder if I process it. Now off a red cedar, and the red cedars in this area are very small. Off a red cedar I was able to scrape tinder off the outer bark, and just by scraping it, it processed it enough to be a good tinder. Now there are other areas I know of that have white cedar. They call it the Atlantic white cedar. The Atlantic white cedar is good even in very wet conditions because it's thick enough to where you can get inside and find a good tinder inside the bark. You can see with a little bit of processing this would be a good tinder. And of course I found a patch of dried grasses, very easy to find this time of year. And I found some weeds that had some fluff on them. Don't know what they're called, but a very effective tinder. Goes up just like cattail fluff along with other pieces of plant fiber that's in with it, and it's very effective tinder if you mix something with it. But it would have taken too long to gather what I wanted, and I knew where to get some cattail fluff right nearby there, so I went for the cattail fluff. So the challenge is to get fire using natural tinder that you found and a spark, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use this white cedar because I didn't find this today. I had it with me. I actually do carry natural tinder on me at times. Now I know that grass is good enough if you process it to get flame from with a spark. But since I have the cattail, I'm going to use that with it. And cattail will go up like gasoline basically, so they say. It flashes, flash burns, and then it goes out. Flash burns, goes out. It doesn't hold a flame well, so you definitely want to mix something with it. Now, cedar bark can go either way. It can flash burn and go out, or it can hold a flame at times. And it depends on how it's processed. I'm going to mix that in, and with this little combination here, I'm going to see if I can get me a fire, and then I'll use the cedar bark to sustain the fire.
Yes, it's much more effective to light the bottom or base of your tinder bundle, but let me make a point here.
And yes, it is damp. It's been very damp here. So you can see even the cattail fluff is, there it goes. The cattail fluff itself was having a little trouble. Nothing yet. And that's the reality of natural tinders. I'm going to try to get some more of that cedar bark and grass here. That's the reality of natural tinders. That even though you have good tinders, a little dampness and they can give you trouble. There we go. And we have fire. You see that tinder went right back out because it's so damp. It's the oils in this old birch bark that are sustaining this fire at this point. And I'm going to save that tinder and get me a little fire going here.
I'm a firm believer that in order to properly know your skills and abilities, you need to test them and practice them under a variety of conditions. You can be sure I'll be doing so.